Good evening and thank you for joining us. The administrator of the Thunder Bay Police Services Board will soon relinquish his sole voting power as board members are set to regain their voting rights next month. The Ontario Civilian Police Commission appointed Malcolm Mercer last spring to oversee the board through a turbulent time. Also today, a new chair and vice chair were appointed. Mitchell Ringos was at today's meeting and brings us the details.
Denise Baxter and Karen Machado have been appointed as vice chair and chair of the Thunder Bay Police Services Board, just as voting rights are being returned to the board members on July 1st. According to Machado, she was approached by Mercer asking if she was interested in becoming chair and says there was consensus among the board members that she take on the role.
I think I do have the skill sets necessary. The team itself, the board, is very positive. We're all committed, so in that regard, I don't see, a challenge. We're all forward-thinking and wanting to do what's right for the board, the force, the city, and the communities surrounding us.
Baxter says the appointment of herself and Machado into the roles of vice chair and chair reflect a recommendation that leadership of the board rest with citizen members rather than two members of city council on the board.
Right now, there's only two community members on the board, and so when I agreed to join this particular board, I knew that there would be a time to step up. And I think as a leader, in my particular world that I walk in, there is a time when you just have to step into those positions, and it's not always maybe fun or convenient, but it's necessary, and so that is why I said yes.
Mercer's role as administrator has been extended several times since he was first appointed in April of 2022. Machado and Baxter say the board members are ready to once again have the right to vote, but both say even though Mercer held the sole vote for more than a year, there was always consensus around the table.
So although we don't formally vote, he asks, do we agree, and we have open dialogue about it. So I do believe it is stabilized.
Our discussions are really built around consensus, and so we have those opportunities to dialogue, to listen to each other, to hear different points of view, and to come to a space where we've all had a thorough discussion before we make a decision. So I don't see that changing, actually.
Mercer will continue to have a vote until a fifth board member is appointed, at which point he's expected to stay on as an advisor until March of 2024. Mitchell Ringos, TBT News.
The city will move forward with a $17 million plan for the Victoriaville area, this after unanimous approval from City Council last night. The project is a key part of the revitalization of the city's south side. Basilios Bellos has the details.
Thunder Bay City Council has thrown its support to a $17 million project that is expected to bring new life to the south side.
I think this revitalization plan knocks it out of the park.
The preferred design to replace the Victoriaville Mall after its demolition was unanimously approved on Monday night. Work will begin this year with renovations planned on buildings that will remain after the mall's demolition in 2024. West Fort Councillor Kristen Oliver says when speaking to her constituents, there is a clear appetite for more south side development.
I hear on a regular basis is when is it our turn? The north side seems to get a lot of investment. And I think that this is certainly showing that the south side is a very important part of this community.
The reconstruction work of Victoria and Syndicate Avenues will begin in the second quarter of 2025 and will result in wider streets for improved walkability while promoting businesses in the area. There were also discussions from some, such as Councillor Shelby Chung, who believes future developments in the South Core could go beyond businesses and may be a way to tackle the housing crisis.
Building modern housing that is affordable is just not happening. It's just you can't do it anymore. So we need to convert old spaces into residential, and I'm hoping that that will inspire some people that might want to pick up a building that is maybe a little bit older to convert it.
The total price tag for all three phases of the project has climbed from a previous $10 million estimate to the $17 million being seen today, though many councillors felt the long-term benefits of the project are more than worth the investment.
You really can't put a price tag on civic pride. I think this council is working hard to transform the south and north, and I think it's really going to pay dividends.
Another unanimous approval Monday night means a $1.4 million makeover on Fort William Gardens exteriors and ceilings will move forward. Some of the major items include replacing the lower roof, improving insulation, and repairing and repainting the building's ceilings. It's part of a larger city effort to extend the garden's lifespan until 2036. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Also during last night's meeting came approval to begin the process to review the size of council. A 6-person special citizen committee will be formed to look into the issue. The Chamber of Commerce and Labor Council have already shown interest in getting involved. That committee won't include any city councillors. Instead, the city is looking for others with municipal experience. The committee's work could result in a variety of recommendations, including fewer councillors or the elimination of the dual ward and at-large system. But a warning from City Clerk Krista Power, who says it's important to note that fewer councillors doesn't necessarily mean lower costs.
If you look at what happened with the City of Toronto, they went from more than 40 councillors to 24 councillors, and their budget increased, I believe, by $1.5 million, because as a result of the fact that they had less elected officials, they needed more staff support. So at the end of the day, decreasing the size of council isn't likely to have cost savings. It may actually have a cost increase.
Power says this process will be heavily driven by public consultation. There will be a number of online and in-person opportunities for people to weigh in over the next year. Lawyers for the Ford government are in court this week trying to win back the power to cap public sector wages. Union leaders successfully challenged the cap and are now pleading with the government to abandon its appeal. Siobhan Morris has the latest details.
A united front from labor leaders as the province fights to uphold public sector wage cap legislation.
The Ford government is slapping these frontline workers in the face yet again by appealing the court's decision to strike down Bill 124.
The bill, introduced in 2019, held annual raises at 1%, affecting 800,000 workers, including nurses, teachers, and those who work with people with disabilities.
We are overworked, overwhelmed, and vastly underpaid.
In November, Bill 124 was struck down as unconstitutional. A Superior Court justice declared that it stepped on the right to bargain and to strike. He rejected the government's argument that it was short on cash.
Here we are, months later, as the healthcare crisis is getting worse, as emergency rooms are closing across the province, and with a government digging in their heels.
How's everyone today? The Premier won't lay out why his government is keeping up the fight in court.
Our whole goal with Bill 124, I have to make sure that we respect the taxpayers, but also make sure that the frontline workers are treated fairly.
But the opposition says the government's wasting public money
on this failing battle, money that could go towards reopening emergency rooms or building homes that people could actually afford to live in.
Ontario's fiscal watchdog estimates the government would owe workers $8.4 billion over 5 years if the lower court ruling stands. Some employees are already getting pay hikes beyond 1%.
In that decision, the arbitrator says clearly that Bill 124 had a negative effect on workers themselves and the services that they provide.
The Premier won't say if his government will take its case to the Supreme Court if it loses the appeal.
He can try and delay as much as he likes, but the Premier will have to pay the piper. He will have to pay workers what he stole from them and their communities.
The case is expected to be heard through Friday.
That was CTV's Siobhan Morris reporting. Ontario's Minister for Seniors and Accessibility was in Thunder Bay today for a funding announcement. Raymond Cho was invited by local MPP Kevin Holland. Alongside the NDP's Lise Vaugeois, they announced nearly $200,000 for senior centres in the Thunder Bay area.
And the recipients include the North McIntyre Recreation Centre, who will be receiving an amount just over $51,000. The West Arthur Community Centre, receiving just under $49,000. The Rural 60 Plus Centre in Oliver Papoonge will be receiving just over $46,000. And here, the Thunder Bay 55 Plus Centre was receiving just under $43,000.
The announcement was delivered at the 55 Plus Centre this afternoon. The money comes from the Seniors Community Grant Program. That $5 million provincial fund is earmarked for community organizations that offer seniors programming. Cho emphasizes the importance of these programs, saying they're not only vital for the seniors, but for the community as a whole.
When we build a good society for seniors, we are building good society for everyone. One day, we all become seniors if we live long, right? And that's why I take my job very seriously.
The Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce hosted an Apex Speaker Series event this afternoon ahead of National Indigenous Peoples Day tomorrow. The event featured a keynote speech from J.P. Gladue, the founder of the consulting firm Mokwete and former president of the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business. The Speaker Series is a chance to share teachings about economic reconciliation and amplify Indigenous voices within the business community. Gladue spoke about how reconciliation with the Indigenous community can give Canada a competitive economic edge. He points to the road into the Ring of Fire as a potential success story for the mining industry and Indigenous communities. Gladue hopes his talk clears up any misconceptions the Chamber members may have.
Certainly there are many challenges, and if you look at the balance sheet in Canada, many of the social indicators within our communities are pointing in the wrong direction, and we're challenged to get them pointed in the right direction overall. But there are many bright spots in this country where we're seeing huge activity with Indigenous businesses, where partnerships are really starting to take hold, and we're seeing huge advances in the relationships and the economic wealth, not only for Indigenous communities, but for regions that embrace these types of relationships.
Thunder Bay's historic Brill trolley buses have arrived at their new home on Highway 61. The two vintage vehicles were transported yesterday to the Oliver Papunj Heritage Park, formerly known as the Pioneer Village Founders Museum. The buses were built at the local Cancar plant in 1948 and ran in Fort William and Port Arthur until 1971. The local volunteer group, the Buddies of the Brills, found them in BC in 2001 and worked for 6 years to restore them. They were brought to the Pool 6 dock 2 years ago to be part of the Transportation Museum, but after a falling out between the Museum Society and Brill's president Charlie Brown, he decided to find a new location. Brown signed a 2-year lease with the municipality of Oliver Papunj. He insists the buses will fit right in with the classic cars, farm equipment, and the old caboose at the Heritage Park.
You know what? We're extremely excited to finally get them out here at the Heritage Park. What a great group of people to work with out here. As I said the other day to the media, this is a little hidden jewel I think a lot of people don't really know about in Thunder Bay. Now, there's lots of other transportation artifacts around the city, and we certainly belong to some of them, but I think this one needs a little tender care, and we're more than happy to come out and participate with them.
The Brills and the rest of the Heritage Park will be open to the public this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from noon until 4:30. We can see it in our images there, Mitch. Another sunshiny day out there, mid-20s, nothing to complain about.
Temperatures very warm, and if you look at the rest of the region, today was actually pretty cold compared to everywhere else, seeing temperatures above 30. Did get up to 24 with a low of 12. We saw mainly sunny skies throughout the day, and the wind was up from the east from 4 gusting to 30 kilometers an hour. Now, when we talk about the rest of the region, as you can see, there's a lot of red on the screen. All of these are heat warnings mixed in with a couple of warnings and statements for smoke in the area as well. These temperatures getting very warm, as you can see. Expecting temperatures low to mid 30s, and the Humidex 35, if not closer to 40 in those temperatures. We're seeing them in the region today. Farther out west, up to 33 in Kenora and Dryden at 33. 32 in Fort Frances currently. Plenty of sunshine. They didn't break any records out west. They're about 0.5 a degree off from breaking those records. But as we head to Atikokan and Upsala, also close to breaking records all the way up to 32 today, while farther northwest, Red Lake did break record with temperatures up to 33 today. Clouds in the area, but those temperatures very, very warm, and that is without the Humidex at 33 in Sioux Lookout and Pickle Lake. Now, as we head to Armstrong, also sitting at 29, got up to 31 today, breaking records as well. Same could be said as we move to Greenstone, currently sitting at 29, seeing plenty of sunshine in the area, and even more sunshine as we head down to Sault Ste. Marie. Temperatures made its way up to 30, currently sitting at 28. Now tonight, temperatures, they're going to head down to 10. Clouds in the area, we didn't see too much today, but it's going to be fairly clear throughout the night. The wind's going to drop off a little bit higher, but it's gusting up to 22 kilometers as a whole, and there is more warm temperatures throughout the week, but at the end of the week, there is some much needed rain.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mitch. Well, a couple of high-profile search and rescue efforts are underway right now. First, 2 members of the Royal Canadian Air Force are missing after a helicopter crash near Petawawa. And, of course, time is now running out as the rescue effort continues to find that Titanic tourist sub that went missing in the Atlantic Ocean. We'll have those details and more as your Tuesday News Hour continues after this.
Working around the clock to ensure that we are doing everything possible to locate the Titan and the 5 crew members.